Well, here's a look at the market through the eyes of eMiniDayTrader for Friday, July the 31st, 2009. And as usual, we always like to start with our market profiles. And this was today's market and volume profile. And the one just before it, this one right here, is the market profile, which is the lettered portion as well as the volume portion. So each one has a volume and lettered portion to it. This is from the Globex session, and this would be yesterday. So we were expecting a bit of a dip down after that late sell-off. We didn't get the dip right away, but we did get it when the market received the news at 8:30 Eastern Time, and that's when the market got really volatile. It spiked up here where it hadn't traded in the overnight session and then spiked down here. So it had a huge range of some 12 points when that news was released. So the bulk of the trading that occurred was really within this area here, which was within our support and resistance areas. I was mentioning around 87 to 89 area as resistance yesterday. So it basically traded within there. Not only overnight, it did bounce a little bit above it when that news was released, but pretty well traded within that area today as well during the regular session. So it did try and move lower. You can see that after the overnight session, the regular trading hours, it did not take that out. So we've still got support below the market from approximately 75 to 79, and that's a key area for us to monitor come early next week, Sunday evening and into Monday. So here's our regular profiles here, in other words, just one day at a time, and you can see how the auction has gone up, consolidated, gone up, in the process of consolidating again. So as long as this area down and below the market right in here can hold, we're still set up on an intraday bias is up, and probably going to continue up at least some point next week. It is likely to test this week's high and maybe even get up to that 1006 area. So that's really what we're looking at as the possibilities. Just wanted to point out again our filter here that we're using now and have been doing so for about 12 days. We run this as a webinar for all of our members so that they can see it. We're still in the stages of developing it. It's not yet quite ready to be added to each individual member's chart, but that will be done very shortly here, probably within the next week or so. The reason I wanted to show this here is that it really does assist us because it takes into consideration all the structural components that we consider important on various different types of levels. And so you can see that, for example, today it showed bearish, and that's obviously when it's red, and then bullish, of course, when it's green. The other ones, these guys here that with just the regular bars, that's a neutral condition. So neutral in here, and then neutral early in the day. We also have a dark red and a dark green, so we had no pronounced bearish or bullish indication today in our filter, just the regular bearish, regular bullish. So just wanted to pinpoint that, and then I just put this on here because since we've been using this filter for the past 12 days, we've had 35 trades, and we've only been stopped out twice for the full stop out. So that's, this is what really we intended to be able to develop with our filter, so that we're not taking an excessive number of trades. We're really trying to cut down on the number of trades, even as they're defined by the auction. Some are obviously don't have nearly the kind of potential that others do, and there's everything in between. And so what the filter has been able to do is to cut down on the weaker trade types. And as a result, it's cut down on the number of trades and also the number of losing trades. So for us to be only stopped out 2 times in 35 trades, that's like an amazing 6%. So now we also had 7 other trades where we had to exit within a 10-minute time period, either for a very small loss or a very small gain. Other than that, that leaves some 75% of our trades that we're making money. So we've really added to our consistency, in which we really like, so we're proud of that feature, and looking forward to bringing that to every one of our members' desktop individually, rather than having to view it through a webinar right now while we're going through the beta. Our particular trades that we did have today, we only had 3 trades. We were able to get short in here, and that came down immediately. We got filled, just one tick offside, beautiful fill, and then it moved 2 3/4 points in our favor. So easily hitting our first 2 objectives. Worst case scenario was a break even on the final partial position on that trade. We then had another trade to try and get us long after this kind of rejection. So we had a good deceleration here. This trade did move a point in our favor, but then it backed off a little bit here. So even though it then did go higher, it ended up with a break even. So we hit our first objective on our first half of our position, but our second half of our position had the equivalent loss, so net break even on that trade. We had another nice deceleration right in here. It did move up, but it was kind of late in doing so. If we're not hitting our first objective in about 10 minutes, we're usually getting out of that trade. In this case, after I think it was like 12-13 minutes, it hit our first objective. So some of our traders would have done that. As far as our regular stats are concerned, we only took it at the close of that 10-minute bar, which was just a 1-tick gain. So just a slight profit on that trade. We didn't have an opportunity. We had indication we had a nice setup for a short trade after we had the good deceleration here, but at that time we also had our filters up. So this is actually a case where the filter kept us out of what turned out to be a good trade. So those kind of things will happen, but on average it has really benefited us to have this filter in place so that we can really get all of our traders to really get the consistency, whether it's making $100 a day, $200 a day, $300, whatever it is, to be overall consistently making money every day on average. So that's what we're most proud of, and really looking forward to having this on the desktop of all of our traders in the very near future. So we'd love to hear from you. Got any comments or questions? Just send us an email. We're at info@eMiniDayTrader.com, or view any of our other information at or view any of our other information at eMiniDayTrader.com, our website. So thanks for taking the time to view this video on Friday, July the 31st, 2009. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.